Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to What Do You Say Anime. I am your host, Peter, and on today's episode, the gang and I will be reviewing the 2008 classic Rosario Vampire. Joining me today, first, all the way from lovely New York City, we have Haz. Haz, how's it going today?
Um, it's going great. I'm glad we're all here to partake in this event of reviewing a fucking classic, a cultural reset for anime. Um, and truly one of the most influential anime of our time. So
Yeah,
it's fun.
I think when you think of influential anime, you think Neon Genesis, you think Cowboy Bebop, you think Rosario Vampire. So I feel you on that, and I'm really glad to have you here because have one side of the argument compared to most people, and maybe someone on the other side of that argument is Johnny. Johnny, how's it going today?
Uh, I was doing great until I remembered I gotta watch this show. But anyway, so I got this mug, this new mug right here, so I can stay hydrated while we were doing this podcast. Has a letter off F on it, which it's because if you didn't know, my last name starts with an F, and also because it also stands for "fuck you, House," because you made me watch the show.
Alright,
Now,
we
Well,
made,
first
we
of
made
all,
it almost a minute without a
Miles,
swear. We're fine.
Miles dominated
yeah,
this
don't
show.
worry.
I nominated the show.
Has
Don't don't
has
don't
did nothing.
don't hate the player, hate the game.
convinced him, so he's partly responsible as well.
It's
Fuck democracy.
Yeah.
Fuck democracy.
Absolutely.
Well, now we're definitely getting
Also joining us as a recurring co-host, the sexy vampire himself, Happy. Happy, how's it going today?
I know I'm the one that did that, but hearing you say that makes me want to die.
Hey man, you did it to yourself.
He's gonna change it by the time
He's the all-powerful vampire now.
Oh, he did change it. That's my apologies.
Yeah.
The all-powerful vampire, Happy. My apologies, sir. I hope I didn't offend you.
I took off his Rosario before the podcast started.
Nice. Well played. And we have a special guest today. You may have seen her cosplaying Splinter Cell in the background of Miles's webcam, trying to do some printer work. We have the number one waifu in Miles's life. We have Kayla. Kayla, how's it going?
Hello, dear.
Hello, dear.
It's going pretty well. I did not realize you guys saw me when I was printing out stuff, so sorry.
It's all good.
Yes, I am the unfortunate fiance of Miles, who has dragged me to some of these things.
Did he make you read Human Echo?
I have not.
Tried. He has tried.
I'm trying to get her to read Worm, which is something that Pete will get.
Yep.
So
Yeah, Miles wants this relationship to work, so he's not doing that. So
if you want to be my lover, you have to have my taste in
visual
fiction.
novels. Understandable.
Oh my goodness.
Moderator, first one of the night. Miles himself. Miles, how's it going?
In Spy Kids 2, Steve Buscemi says, "Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created?" And I have to say that he does, because God in 2008 created perfection. And that is, of course, Rosario Vampire. And after creating it, he ascended to heaven, afraid of his creation, knowing that one day it might usurp him and he might have to learn his place. So that's what I have.
Jesus Christ, that was incredible.
What Taylor Swift song is that from?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy, but in Red, the bonus track is her just reading the script of Spy Kids 2. No one really gets it, but
you have to play it backwards. It's one of those secret tracks.
Yeah.
Well, Miles, thank you so much for that.
Of course.
You grace us with your presence. And our last moderator of the night, young Patty Mills, starting point guard of the... I don't know if you guys made the playoffs or not, but of the San Antonio Spurs himself. Patty, how's it going?
I'm pretty sure we're in the play-in game.
I think you are too.
We might actually be playing tonight. I don't know. I don't care either because there's playoff hockey on, and that's a little more important than playoff basketball in my eyes and hopefully most people's eyes. But we'll, to each their own, right?
They did. They're 10th.
They're in 10th.
Let's
That's what
go,
I thought they
Patty.
barely squeaked in. Yeah, I know. Pop is really proud of us.
Big Pop.
Big Pop. I'm a big Popovich guy, I gotta say. But yeah, no, I'm feeling good. Back in the gym, it feels good. I'm all hyped up about that, and then I have to come and talk about this show, so I'm not too. The energy level today has been, kind of down at work, and then get in the gym, and you're just like, yes, like skyrocketing, and then it comes right back down when I have to when I came back, watched the final few episodes of this show, and again, can't complain too much though. I'm here with friends on our 1 year anniversary episode, by the way. So
Yay.
now our club has lasted an entire year. Somehow people have tolerated Miles and I leading such discussions, and we've even gained spouses or future spouses. So that's pretty damn cool, I gotta say. But yeah, so today we will be discussing Rosario Vampire Season 1. Season 2 on the way.
Please no.
Maybe.
Maybe, who knows? You have to stay to the
Please
end of the
no.
episode.
I mean, I count the votes, right? Like,
I know the votes. You never know, man. I'm just saying. But yeah, so this show, like with every other show that we do, we'll do a spoiler-free first impression. So that can be where you heard about this show, what you thought about the first few episodes, what you were expecting coming in, what you got, and then finally whether you would recommend this show to somebody. Yes, no, whatever. So like always, Miles, why don't you start us off?
so I have had quite the Rosario Vampire filled 2 weeks. We read the manga and for like a little like internal manga club thing we do, and then we had the anime to watch. And so like just a lot of Rosario Vampire. I've been pretty busy. We've been packing. We're moving. We're I have stuff that's going on, and so I've spent a lot of my free time, like an inordinate amount of my free time, consuming Rosario Vampire in some form or another. And I don't know if that has made me delirious or not, but going into this, I assumed that the show would suck for a few reasons. One, Has likes it. Two, that like, I mean, it kind of just looks like discount High School DxD, and High School DxD kind of sucks. But little did I know that at some point over these 2 weeks, I would experience what I experienced, which is just a truly pleasant and wonderful show. I had such a pleasant little time. Kayla and I watched it together. We thought it was going to be like a meme where we watched this together and she could join like for the worst anime we've watched or whatever, besides Blood Blockade Battlefront. Nothing can ever be worse than that. Oh my god. But I think, I mean, Kayla will talk about it soon, but I think we both had a good time. We were laughing. We were very surprised that we were laughing. It was a great time. I would absolutely recommend this. If you like peak comedy, and by peak comedy, I mean memes. If you're a big meme fan, watch Rosario Vampire, because it's a lot of fun. It's fun. It's a fun show.
Okay.
I respect that.
That is an opinion that you can have about this show. I can agree with some of it though, so it's not all wrong. It's not all and Miles is never wrong, so we know that. Next up, Happy, why don't you give your opinion? I want to hear the pretty much
The swing vote.
the derivative of what Miles just said. Is that correct? I don't know. I haven't done math in a long time.
Well, so you're a bit of a Shiryuki, and Happy's gonna go ahead and be a Yukari here and explain to you your integrals and derivatives and stuff.
Yeah, please do. I could use that help, Happy. So please go ahead, buddy. How would you recommend this show and your first impressions as well? In the other
Okay.
order, in the other way around.
Yeah.
You're thinking long and hard about this. You only had 2 weeks
Yeah.
to come up
I
with your
know,
answer here.
I know. Part of the problem is that I hear my mom upstairs, and I'm wondering if she can hear me or not.
Doesn't matter.
Can you come back to me in a minute, because I want to see what's going
Of
on
course, yeah,
upstairs.
no worries, no worries. Has, what have you got? Has is gonna agree with Miles, so this is not quite the opposite take, but we'll make it work.
Yeah, first impressions. Right. Kids, get into stay up late at night and watch Tsunami. Hastic stood up and got the Vidmaster challenges on Halo 3, and as a result, did not see Tsunami. Instead, he was on the Netflix app on his 360 when he first found out what anime was. And what a fucking wonderful world Netflix was back in the day, right? Classics on it, legendary shows. The reason that my taste is so peak compared to everyone else's. Right? Girls Bravo, first anime, but the second one was the Police Academy, Kinnikumo, was Rosario Vampire. And horny teenage was like, this is it. But now that I'm like an adult, right? Wise
Horny
beyond
adult
my
has.
years. Horny adult has wise beyond my years, purveyor of the greatest hentai games ever. I can
That's a fact.
safely say, yes. I can safely say this is the second funniest anime I've ever watched. Because Cautious Hero is still number 1, and Konosuba is somewhere in like 20. But Rosario
You're not triggering
Vampire.
me. No.
No, we're not taking that
No,
bait.
no,
We're not.
not
Can
taking
we
that.
just end the episode here?
Yeah,
Rosario
really.
Vampire is I highly recommend it if you like just like like Miles says, you like memes. You like memes and you like 2008's aesthetic women waifus.
Right. So yeah, not quite that old school like 2000s Code Geass looking
Nah,
waifu,
nah,
but like somewhere more in between the modern
yeah,
day as
middle.
well. It's like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
middle ground is what I think that's a very good point. Good very good analysis. Okay. Kayla, why don't you give us your opinion as well? I'm sure you're gonna
Okay.
be singing its praises just like Haz was. I'm very curious.
So the first 5 minutes, I won't lie, I spent playing a match 3 game on my phone. Be honest, okay?
I don't blame you.
Understandable.
Yes, and I started watching anime with Sailor Moon back when I was like 8. Okay, so that's my intro to like anime. Didn't watch anime for like another like 20 years. Then I met
Good
Miles.
call. Good call, by the
And
way.
Again, all of this makes sense. The Sailor Moon, great choice, and then yeah, not watching more.
yes,
Yeah, understandable.
so some of it reminded me of Sailor Moon-esque sort of things, like some of their, I don't know, some of the girls I would say. So how they were kind of ditzy and things like that. So that's why I kind of enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed it because Miles and I kind of laughed throughout the whole thing. So I think
Right.
that's why I would enjoy it. If I was watching it alone, I probably would not have enjoyed it as much, I will say.
I think that makes sense. Yeah, because if you can look at the show and just sit there and laugh at the absurdities and the silly things that happen throughout the show, I think that's the best way to enjoy it. Because you can't go in expecting this to be, I don't know, Wild Evergarden or something like hard hitting, right? You got to go in just expecting to, again, with the genres that it is. I think it's ecchi comedy. Is it romance even? I don't even know if it is.
Say there's
Like
some romance
I
in
mean,
there. Like
it's anime
it's
romance.
there, but I'm saying like it's the genre. But either way, like when you're going into this, you can't expect something completely not what it is. Like it is. It goes in and does what it is defined to do. So there you go. That makes sense. So
So I was gonna say, like Miles and I talked about, we watched Riverdale for a little bit, and Riverdale's so bad it's good, and I
right.
feel like some of that could kind of relate into this.
That
Absolutely.
it 100% does. I agree with that. Like that's a very good way to put it because it is very bad at times. But that's so is Riverdale, and Riverdale. I don't know if it won like was it an Oscar or a Tony, whatever the hell the awards show is, but it did
an Emmy.
very well. Great.
Teen
It won
Choice
people's
Awards?
heart. Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, whatever.
A Nickelodeon
Wait,
Kids
I have
Choice
to Google
Awards?
if Riverdale Emmy won an Emmy now, because holy
Yeah,
shit, if it did.
Didn't it do really
wasn't
well?
Luke Perry
I feel
on
like
there? I don't know. Maybe Luke Perry won something.
I could have
yeah.
sworn
I
it
was gonna say,
did.
I think it was like Teen Choice Awards and
Yeah,
MTV
that
like
sounds about
Music
right.
Awards. Like, so it won like the people's hearts, but not like
Not the
the critics.
critics. Hmm. That makes sense. That makes sense. But all right. Up next, Johnny. All right, now we're getting into the naysayers. We held off on Johnny. What you're on push to talk, by the
Yeah,
way.
push to talk, Johnny. No, you're. All
Oh
right.
no, his mic.
Oh my god, my freaking pop filter turned on. Pressed the button on my mic and it turned off. Sorry about that.
Like
Sick-
before
sick
this happens,
flex
I
that
just
you have
want
a
to let
pop
everyone
filter.
know that people who don't like this show don't know how to like work with a microphone, and
I know how to work a microphone. I host a pod.
it,
It
what
was
does that
muted
say?
earlier in the
We've
stream.
never
Not my fault. That's Windows' fault.
So
Oh,
can,
yeah.
can we? Can I talk?
Yes.
No. No, of course not.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Who's next? Anyway, so going into this show, the first thing I heard was this was panty shots the anime. So I said, okay, let's see how many seconds it takes for the first panty shot. I counted 16 seconds.
Nice.
So that's about what I expected going into this. And you know, I'm not gonna say that all of it was bad. It was definitely a lot better than some of the other shows has nominated, so I'll give it that.
Again,
One
has to
show in
not nominate
particular.
this show. Has to not
Yeah,
nominate.
I know he did nominate, but I'm saying the other show that he nominated that made me want to die a bit more than this one. But let's just not talk about that one. So like, you know. Oh, sorry. There's some stuff going on back there. Sorry
No,
about that.
You're good.
So the show is basically exactly what I expected. You know, the classic ecchi bullshit. The main character has everyone falling in love with him for no reason. You know, it's about what you expected. So like, I can't give it too much shit, but at the same time, with everyone else in the Discord talking about how great it was, I was kind of expecting more. So I don't know what to say, but I'm just gonna say that I would not recommend this because even though it is exactly what I thought it was, that's not a good thing. So yeah.
That's completely fair. I understand that opinion. It echoes a lot of what I'm gonna say. So, Pete, what have you got?
So I will be man enough and say this is the third time I have watched Rosario Vampire, and I have also read it along with Miles. And the only real thing that I could like take away from like this experience and like my first impressions is like now that we've reviewed so many shows and we look a little bit more into like technical stuff sometimes, how great like this overall like sound is in this show. It's like unheard of. I loved like the voice acting. The dub was incredible. A lot of like the sound effects were like really good. I know it's like really silly, but like when like a pan drops on somebody's head, it sounds like that's what's happening. And I know that sounds like really dumb, but those are like the little technical things that I really enjoy about watching shows like this. So it adds to it. In terms of like if I would ever recommend this show, if you were like a male under 18, I would recommend this show if you liked anime for specific reasons.
That personal attack.
Yeah, and then you know, like as like a 30-year-old man watching a show like this, I'm gonna be honest with you, not really hitting a lot of like, not really like checking out a lot of boxes for me. So I would recommend it for you know, like the younger kids, and if you're an older guy, watch Prison School instead.
Okay, well, that's interesting that you mentioned that because I feel like or if you're an older guy, just don't watch a show like this at all, right?
I'll read the manga. The manga was fine.
Was it? Okay, well, there you go.
There's like, I mean, compared to like our first, like we averaged like 19 and a half panty shots per episode. And then in the manga, like per chapter, it was maybe like one. It was like polar. It was like night and day. Like they upped the ecchi by a ton in the anime, and I respect that decision because they went for something. Because I don't know how well the normal Rosario manga would translate, because it's a lot more like dramatic and not as funny. And this is way more emphasized on the fan service, the comedy, the dialogue, and especially with the side characters as well. They're way more fleshed out in the anime compared to the manga. So it has like its pros and cons.
So basically, what you're saying is that they knew that if they just made the manga one for one with the anime, it wouldn't have sold well enough for them to justify making it. So they changed it.
Yeah, they had like a target demographic, and I think upping the ecchi would appeal to more people, and like as like a marketing decision, it makes sense. Like I understand. Just someone
think
like
about
me,
all the figures they sold, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, like Mocha is like, I'm sure at the time was probably like the 02 of the time. Like she was an icon back in like the early like 2010s or whatever this came out. So yeah, I respect it. I understand. It's just not for me.
That makes sense. All right. And Happy, are you good to go now?
There I am. Yes, I am. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this quick since I'm the last one. So who has heard anime out of context?
A couple of us, I think.
I think you know the answer to that question.
You know my answer to that.
I know has. So that's how I first heard about this show, and if you've heard that episode, you know that Rem absolutely despises this show. So I thought, oh, this is probably just gonna be some hot trash. But I watched it, and I don't think I've ever had more conflicting episodes on any show I've ever watched. So I'll just keep it brief and keep it at that. Would I recommend it? No, I think it's too hard to sell for most people, even people who are anime fans. So nah, that's no for me, fam.
That's interesting. So you say you've never been so conflicted about a show before. I'm excited to hear the positives that you have to say because I have a feeling that I know what your negative positive, and I'm excited to hear that. Lastly, for me, so yeah, I had heard about this growing up, like watching anime, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'll pass on. It's just that's never really been my kind of show or my type of entertainment when it comes to anime. Uh, I it had its fun moments. I think that the comedy was very hit or miss for me, and I laughed a lot. I thought some things were clever, but then I also was just like the fan service was just so in your face. I was not enjoying it nearly as much as I had hoped, just for the sake of my enjoyment of the show. Like I wish I liked it, but I didn't. Um, Outside of that, I would I recommend it? I think yeah, if you should be able to tell if you fall inside of the target demographic for this show or not. And if you think you do, I think it fits. And then I think you should. I would recommend this to you because it hits those points pretty well that it's trying to hit. But as a general recommendation, I would not recommend this show. I absolutely would not. But yeah, all right. I think that's everybody. So yeah, that's our spoiler-free section. So now going forward, going to be talking about plot points, spoilers, whatever the hell else we want to any point throughout the show. So if you don't want to be spoiled, we won't be offended. Please just pause us and come back to us another time. But yeah, there's your warning. And Miles, I know that you mentioned earlier in one of our discussions about the show that like when you and I were talking, at least I was saying like, okay, so Miles, you like this show. Do you like it ironically or do you actually like certain parts of it? And I'm very curious to hear what some of those parts that you really think that this show nailed. Because again, for me, like some of the laughs felt like that were not necessarily intended by the people creating it, if that makes sense. But apparently you thought otherwise. So I'd love to hear your case.
Yeah. So like my take on that is like I don't think I liked it ironically because I'm like 87% sure that the show is ironic. Um like for sure the show like wants to sell itself to like 15-year-old boys, right? But like you can like have layers above that because like as long as you got some boobies and some panties and stuff, those 15-year-old boys are going to like the show.
Right.
So like I guess there's like a lot of things the show does where it has running jokes that like slowly evolve over like the course of the show and stuff. And I really like meta humor like a lot. It's like my favorite. Look at Kayla rolling her eyes. Like it's like I just like really enjoy like that sort of like fourth wall breaky um kind of thing. And there's like a very large amount of this in the show. And I think part of my enjoyment might have been because I also read the manga, which kind of takes itself very seriously, or at least kind of seriously. And the anime just doesn't take itself seriously, like really at all. And seeing how they decided to make some of these like fights and stuff more jokey and like have fun with them and stuff, I thought was like a really good time. Like I'm curious to hear about what you thought wasn't like intentional that you laughed at because I think for the most part everything I laughed at was intentionally supposed to be funny. Um, you know, so
Yeah, well, so just some of the so I guess maybe it's that's our thing to describe because like there are certain times when I thought the fan service was obviously being like tongue in cheek and being like, oh yeah, look at how ridiculous of a situation this could only happen in a like, haha. But then there were times where I ended up just laughing at moments like that where I don't know, maybe I was trying to give the show too much credit or trying to be too critical, but like I thought for sure that it was just like, oh yeah, this totally just happened, like, and was like playing along with whatever bit was going on, but not in like it's a bit kind of a way where it's like, oh no, this is a legitimate plot point that we're going with. I don't know. Um, I'm struggling with a specific moment off the top of my head, but I just remember thinking multiple times while watching this, like, gosh, am I supposed to be laughing at this? You know, like there were many times where I
Yeah.
questioned that kind of feeling, I guess.
So I guess I'll give an example of something that like I very much enjoyed throughout like the show, because like there's a lot of times where like Kumaru is just like smothering Skune in her boobs or something, and
Exactly.
like I don't know, like at some points that was funny because it would like last too long, and like I don't know if that is intentional or not. But like the bat, for example, right? So like after the fights, the bat gives a report about how long the fight lasts, right? With Intermocha, and there are always these like short amounts of times, and then they sort of like establish that running joke, and then they use that for dramatic effect once, and then they lampshade it once, and it's kind of funny. So in the Sunflower Witch War arc, um, they have Intermocha do her Intermocha thing. She, says "Know your place" and kicks Ruby in the face. And the bat comes up and is like, "This battle was over in like 3 seconds" or something like that. And then it like pans over and the bat like gets freaked out and flies away because like Ruby's like still there. So it's like playing on its own meta commentary in order to make something more dramatic, which I thought was enjoyable. And then
Doesn't
in the I think second to last episode, um, with the student council or the student security or whatever, there's a scene where when they defeat the spider person, I think it says in like 146 seconds or something like that, and like in parentheses including the song, because Intermocha sings a song as she's reeling in the spider, and in the next episode they're giving their report and they're like, yeah, like she lost in like exactly 146 seconds. So it's like an acknowledgement of the meta thing, right? Because like you would think the bat doesn't exist in like a in-universe thing, right? It's like a narrator, right? But there's acknowledgments of the narrator that happen occasionally, which I think are fun. Like that's the sort of playing with the ongoing jokes that I've like really enjoyed, as opposed to Kumaru. Like I mean, I agree with you. Like Kumaru taking Skune and being like, "I have boobs, Skune." Like that's not super funny. Like there were definitely times I laughed at it, but like I wasn't like, "Oh my god, peak comedy, how clever." You know. So I guess like that is more what I was getting at as far as like the construction of the meta humor in the show.
The little like fourth wall breaks or references to the
In
fact that
how they
they're
evolve over the course of the show, because they play with them a bit, and it's kind of just fun that they were creative with it, because I feel like a lot of shows like this don't ever evolve their bits. They just have the bit and they keep doing the bit. But this, like, I think I could feel the writers having fun. Like, how can we like one up ourselves with this? And I thought that was fun because the way I watch things is usually like from a like I'm always trying to guess what's going to happen based on like tropes. Kayla can confirm she hates it. And like what would make sense from like a writing perspective, and like what I know about like common construction of storylines and things like that. And so when they can like, I guess like keep things fresh enough that I'm not used to exactly what's happening, I really like that.
That's fair.
I think that's a lot of fun.
So just a quick question too. Now I think about it, did most of us watch the sub or the dub of this? Because I feel like that could have an impact on how you feel about the show. Because the dub was very early, like early to mid 2000s ish for me, where the voice actors or actresses were very like
over the
uh,
top.
I
yeah,
thought they were great.
I thought
they
the
were
dub
I
was
watched,
amazing.
I heard the main character say one sentence and I switched to the sub.
yeah.
I did the same
literally
thing,
heard that and
Johnny.
I was
This is
on.
yeah.
So
Hasga,
I mean,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I think, um, I don't think like the dub is bad. I think the dub, like most of the characters are like perfectly cast. I think Kurumu is perfectly casted in a
Fair.
dub. I
Mhm.
think Yukari is perfectly casted in a dub. I think Mizure is perfectly casted in the dub, and I think Skune is perfectly casted in the dub. Whether or not you like their voices, I don't think it's necessarily because the dub actors did a good job. I just don't think you like the archetype of character that they are.
Yeah.
Because Skune is like a bitch, right? Like that's the thing throughout the story is that Skune is there's a whole episode about it. Like he's always running to the girls for help. So it makes sense that he sounds like a bitch. You know? Or it's just like, oh, you know what I mean? It's not bad. It's what he's supposed to sound like.
Agreed.
Like a wimp, you know?
Yeah, like
And
I understand like the reasoning behind it. It's just I
yeah,
agree
so
just
with
like
Johnny.
I
It
just,
was
I just
annoying.
personally don't like it. I'm gonna just be honest.
It
Yeah,
just
I agree. I listened to like a little bit of the dub, and then I like, and especially for a show like this, like it seems like the perfect show to watch dub for. And
yeah.
I'm even a dub fanboy, and I was just like, we're gonna watch a sub. Like,
It just made me cringe right away, and you know what? That to be fair, do most dubs do that for? I'm a purist. I like to watch shows in or anything in the way that they were first interpreted or meant to be watched. So that's why I struggle to watch any dubs. But then this one, yeah, the voice, which again, it's not like the Japanese sub was that significantly different in terms of like their voice tones or the way they said things, but like I didn't understand what they were saying, so it made it better, I guess. You know what I mean? Like it didn't click for me that oh my god, Scooter, like I didn't have to hear that. By the way, I hope I'm still not popping in and out with the microphone. It
it's a
sounds good.
bit
You're
better.
fine
There's
overall.
still
A
some
little better.
issues. I'm
I don't
not
know
sure
what's
what it
going on
is.
then. It must have been a problem with the reset of my PC, them Windows updates. But I'll try and figure it out right now. But yeah, so did anyone so Kayla, did you actually Miles or did you watch it on your own?
No, we watched it together, and he usually actually makes me watch things in the sub, so I will pay attention to it because if I won't, I will definitely like play on my phone.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, I can understand that. That's why I also like watching sub because it does force me to pay more attention to shows. That being said, I watched the dub for most of the show at least because I wanted to have it on in the background. I didn't want to have to fully invest my brain into it, which is not fair to the show, but I don't care, and that's all I can say. Um, but yeah,
I can
so
relate.
Happy, I think you had a point, or you wanted to bring something up about 5 minutes. The natural
Uh,
flow of the conversation carried it away from you, and I'm sorry
oh,
about that.
jeez. Yeah, I was gonna, and I completely forgot what it was. I'm
Well,
so
we
sorry.
were no, you're good. We were talking about 5 minutes ago. We were talking about like the meta jokes and stuff like that. Does that ring a bell for you?
Oh,
Or
oh, yes, I remember now. Okay,
I'm
so in
such a good
episode
moderator. Good
10,
job, Pat. Thank you. Yep.
okay, so yes, in episode 10, we had the spider monster girl, and she had like the venom where she uh how does it work? Like she poisons them and then they become her servants.
Yes.
And she was gonna do that to Kuruma. I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's clever because that's what Kuruma was gonna do to all the boys when in her like introduction episode, right? So it's like the shoes on the other foot or whatever.
Yeah, that's actually like a really interesting like role reversal for Kurumu there. I think that um Kurumu it has like she's set up and subverted I think in a pretty interesting way where you expect her I think to be like a lot more Akano from High School DxD than she ends up being. Because she ends up being I mostly like kind of wholesome and caring and like not very sexy, horny, just like a little bit. Um,
Except
but
for her
that's a
introductory
really good
episode.
observation, Happy. I didn't notice that.
um I guess on the comedy part of it too, there's just like I was saying earlier and sort of like Miles was saying, a lot of the jokes are very well built up and executed. And I would say most of the for something that is essentially its own story, right? From the manga. Um, because there's so many differences in characters present in places where they're usually not. Like Mizore shouldn't even be present for most of the anime if it was a true manga adaptation. They did a very good job of like Skune being a wimp becoming a like plot point later on in the show. Um, everyone like constantly saying like you smell or taste like a human. And then that's at the very end. That's like the final climax. And I was episode 5 was I think everyone not everyone's favorite because some of you just don't like the show. But episode 5, what an episode of just like I mean I think Miles likes it more, so I would rather him talk about it. But it's a the greatest comedy I would say in harem ecchi shows.
I like episode 5 a lot, and I think it does a good job of like highlighting why I like it. So I guess I'd be interested in like I can just say why I liked it so much, and I know Pete enjoyed it as well because
Absolutely.
he went back and rewatched it after I made my pitch to him.
I think it's the best episode in the first season at least.
I think that my personal 2 favorite are the sunflower ones, but I think that it's like for an individual episode, episode 5 would probably be my favorite. So
I like the sunflower as well. I think it had
Okay.
like a really good like impact on the story, and it definitely highlighted more of like them as like a team, as they weren't just like these all individuals. Like they worked. You saw Yukari like kind of shine, where in the previous episode she's kind of like a background. She's like clearly like number 3 or whatever, and then she got to like show her she got to strut her stuff with like her magic. I just think the brilliance of episode 5 is they're like, let's take like this swimsuit episode, beach episode. It always happens, these slice of life beach episodes. And this happens just, it was at the pool. They're like, well, let's turn to 1,000. And they're like, okay, so we're going to have all these competitions where it's only the girls. None of the guys are participating. They're all on the sidelines gawking. All the girls are going to participate. They're like, okay, let's do that. And then they have like these karaoke sessions where the first song is Kuribu, and the whole song is about her wanting Skune to essentially grope her. And it's great because like it's like a montage song while this is happening, while all the other girls are just like battling each other. They do like the on each other's shoulders. There's like
the chicken fights.
The chicken fights. There's like an obstacle course or whatever, and it's just like the whole time. It's just like all these girls in like their bikinis, and then Kuribu is just singing like, "I want you, my endless love. Now come over here and touch my body." It's just like, what is going on? It's just like I loved like they took that concept and just like we're gonna be so wacky with it, because in the manga it's like one chapter. It's like 40 pages. It's over pretty quick. This made an entire episode, and it was just pure nonsense. And that's what like I was hoping for in the comedy aspect of it. And a lot of the times we didn't get that. And I understand like you can't do that every episode, but I just thought that they could have taken like more risk, like episode 5, since this is essentially like a different like it's like the same concept of the manga, but like they're doing their own thing with it. I feel like they could have done something way crazier with it instead of like just panty shots. Like they had peak comedy like in episode 5. I think episode 5 is legit like one of the funniest episodes I've ever seen in anime. I loved it.
What I love about it is that like they needed a way to I feel like show why Mocha feels like she's missing out for reasons other than she's just like in love with Skune. Because like in the manga, it's just like Mocha like can't swim because she'll die, and she's in love with Skune, so she's like, I'm sad because I love Skune and I want to be near Skune. But this one, she's like, okay, like I miss Skune. I wish like we could do something together. But like she's not just missing swimming club. She's missing like fucking spring break in Cancun. There's just like everyone's partying the entire time. It is not at all a swim club. It is just the most absurd thing in the entire world. And I just thought that was like super fun because like it makes sense because like the whole point of the swim club was for the mermaids to like trap the men, so they set up this entire scenario that's so over the top for everyone to go because people are playing like kaijo, for Christ's sake, on on the thing or whatever. I mean, it was a lot of fun. The songs were really good. They sang in English in the dub, which has showed me, which is something that like anime rarely like get the budget to get English singers.
Almost never does that.
Yeah, like Toradora, which I have to imagine had like a pretty high budget for its dub. You know, when Ami and Taiga sing the Christmas song, it's in Japanese in the dub. The Zombieland Saga dub, all of the songs are in Japanese. You know, it's just it was just like a really weird thing. It's sort of like I was like, it's so strange to me that they translated the song and everything. I thought
like
it was
the voice,
crazy.
I'm assuming the voice actress just did the songs.
Well, not Kurumu's. So Yukari's for sure did.
Okay.
Or Kurumu's voice actress is just like really good at singing for some reason. Like really good, and it didn't sound like her. I don't know. We can look it up. But Happy, I know you had some thoughts on episode 5 as well.
I did. So, Pete pretty much stole all the words out of my mouth, except I had the exact opposite reaction. I'm like, what is this? What? She's like, oh yes, look at my boobs. Aren't my boobs great? Won't you touch my boobs? And it's like,
yeah, that's amazing.
I'm like,
yeah, I do want to touch them.
What? I was kind of flabbergasted by like what I thought about it and I realized, oh, it's because she's a succubus. But at the time I'm thinking like, why is she singing about this? Like, what? Even in like ecchi shows, like what kind of girl goes around going like, hey, look at my boobs, touch my boobs? That just seems so weird.
Happy,
to me.
I'll recommend you some stuff. I'll recommend you some stuff. Don't worry, my man. I got you.
No.
I got you. This is pretty. I feel like kind of.
This show's pretty tame for an ecchi.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean,
It is,
you know,
it is.
Dude, there were actual nipple shots, which I was surprised by.
Was there?
There was
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
that I saw.
Two.
I mean, it was
second
2008,
son-
so.
The
You guys
second
paid more
Sunflower
attention than I
episode
did
had
to that.
one.
It was probably the only thing I paid attention to.
So I
Showing-
was gonna say though,
Showing your age.
I can agree with the like so the ecchi peaks are generally higher in other shows, but in this show, like we've said with the I don't know, have we even said the number of panty shots that are in this show yet? Because
It's like around 400.
It was like 400, right? So like I think
I
it was
stopped
just
counting
more-
by episode 2.
It was like more, yeah. It was more like consistently ecchi, high levels or amounts of it, but then like the peaks of the etchiness are higher in other shows because like it was just a panty shot or just their clothing and their bodily dimensions not making sense for the sake of a panty shot. Like that stuff was happening consistently, but it was very rarely more than that, or more than like the flirtatious line or whatever. Versus like something like DxD or I don't know, High School of the Dead, where like sure there are other things going on in the show or normal scenes in the show, but then there are the peaks, the legendary bullet scene, from High School of the Dead. There's Rios being in bed with what was it, Issei? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the toothbrush scene.
Yeah, and or the toothbrush scene is a good. I guess that's ecchi too.
I think that's closer to psychological horror.
I thought you were gonna say it's not ecchi, and I'm like, did you watch the same show that I did?
It's ecchi, but it's like
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, very different.
Different strokes for
stroking in that
for Karen as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with that, Pat. I think it was like I don't know, Kayla. I want to throw to you on this because okay. So, what's the next most like unnecessarily sexual anime you've seen? Either like Food Wars or Konosuba, right?
I would say Food Wars, I think.
Okay. So
After you explained to me like what nosebleeds and things like that were, because I didn't understand. I'm like, why are all these people getting nosebleeds?
That's so great that that's like a cultural thing that we have to explain, but I love that. That's really funny.
So did you think like, I mean, it's obviously over the top, but like how much like out of those like let's say those 3 shows, do you think that the like overt like ecchi / like sexuality of it like takes away the value of the show for like any of the 3 of them? Like what are your thoughts on that?
I don't know if it would take away the value of the show. I think it made me view them differently.
Mhm.
I think this one I definitely didn't see it more as overtly, and I think maybe that's why I found it like funnier, I think. But also I think I said it was like some of it was kind of so bad that we thought it was really funny.
I think there's an art to that, though. I agree with Kayla there, though, that like I think that it's weird because there are like 400 panty shots, but like I noticed maybe 7 of them.
Only
Yeah, we did
7.
I
a
was
lot.
I was so
Yeah.
like here's the thing, right? I Rosario Vampire like categorically is ecchi, but it's so passive in its etchiness, like it doesn't feel that way. Like it doesn't. High School DxD is very clearly an ecchi, like in terms of like tags that are being prioritized. Like ecchi is probably the first one, and then everything else. Here it feels like the comedy is being prioritized first, and then like harem, and then like ecchi at the end. Because like
Interesting.
panty shots, like so panty shots that got super emphasized were like the very first one with Mocha, right? And then like they're just walking and you could see their panties, but that is that like a traditional anime ecchi panty shot? Like I I mean if you're looking for it, right? Like Johnny was, of course you're gonna fucking see it, but like I just watched the show and um so I don't know, like I
I'd
found
argue it's kind of hard not to notice when it's
I
literally just right in front of your face. Like half the shots were literally just the girl's ass, like in covering 80% of the screen.
Like a lot of them are off frame though. So like for sure, like Misere is someone who I noticed a lot of panty shots for because they do the thing where they frame the vagina, right? Where it's like they're
And like they
they're
draw
pulled
the
like very
they draw
yeah.
the lines.
Kayla's gonna marry me, but we're gonna have this conversation anyway, and we're gonna put that at risk. So
Did
like
you tell her about the Aqua cosplay yet?
uh oh
That's off the rec. Hold on, we don't talk about that on the
oh,
podcast. No, Johnny, read the room, bro.
so like
We're gonna have to talk after this.
yeah, we will. So
This is
yeah,
Miles's last episode.
Yeah, goodbye, Miles.
I spent our move-in money on Aqua costumes for Kayla. I did.
Surprise!
So
That's what I got for your off your registry. I found it right there.
yeah, I
Of course.
stuck it and put it on there. So you have like some of those panty shots, right? So like Misere has quite a few, I feel like, and what's her name does at the beginning, the succubus girl whose name is eluding me currently. Yeah, Kumaru. Where it's like a very obviously like a panty shot that is meant to be like sexy. But then like a lot of the times it'll just be like two people having a conversation and the focus is on like I don't know, whoever's the main person speaking is, but also all 3 characters' panties are visible. And it's just like
a lot of things like that.
yeah, which is to me I don't know. I thought it was weird because like I think it acclimated me more. I don't really like ecchi stuff. It usually turns me off. I gave No Game No Life a 3. Like but I think it was sort of like a boiling the frog scenario where there was just so much like little ecchi stuff here and there that like whenever something else happened, I didn't think it was like gratuitous or you know what I mean? Like I think that like the entire world was ecchi and it wasn't ever oh Johnny died brought up in like such a way that it was ever jarring to me, and it never felt unnecessary because the world was just always filled with panties. It was just like a parallel universe where the knee rule doesn't exist in Catholic schools, and that's what it felt like.
Out to those knees, I'm gonna tell you.
You know, it wasn't 2 inches above; it was like 2 feet above. Go ahead, knock yourself out.
And it's like, I love how like okay, so I'm just gonna say this: some of the animation in this show is kind of garbage.
Oh, for sure.
I just love how during some scenes they literally add like a few extra pixels just to show the panty like under the skirt.
Yes.
I just love how they can afford the time to add that, but not the time to like have actually good animation. Like,
well,
That was
2000.
like
what's easier,
set
though.
priorities straight. Like,
Well, that was a reason that I liked the Sunflower Witch thing so much was because the fight was like well animated and the animation was like, I don't know, B tier. Like it was like good
It was
animation.
horrible.
It wasn't anything special or whatever, but it stood out so much because normally the fights in the show are like Mocha comes out and then she just like kicks someone, and they managed that to be like suboptimal, and it's like literally just a kick. Like they do the slideshow things the later seasons of Food Wars do, where they just like have a still frame and like pan, and it's like view motion, like enjoy. Um, so I'm definitely with you there, Johnny, because like they draw anatomy in such a way that it is inhuman, so that you can see the panties.
Yeah, I agree. And then like I showed you like that scene. There's like people who've seen like the scene at the beach
Yes.
where the girls are drawn so proportionally bad that they look like they're supposed to be the size of islands.
It happens
Have
in
you seen-
episode 2 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like it was so like it was the only time watching the show that I audibly laughed because of how bad it was.
Some of the
Sorry,
angles
Happy?
that they choose to do too are
Bleh.
awful.
Well, the angles are like an MC Escher painting, right? Like,
You don't
you
have
know-
to elaborate on that one because I have no idea what you were talking about.
oh, okay. So
I'm so
Escher is
confused.
who does like like the stairs going into the stairs, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So it's like that. It's not possible. Like from the point of view, you should possibly be seeing one of the girls' panties, and then you can see everyone's panties, and it's just it's crazy. I mean, I think that's fun because it's like an intentional decision. Like it's tongue in cheek that they do that. Like I enjoyed that so much because I like am aware that people had a conversation in a meeting room about how to make this happen, and I looked it up, and they did. They gave an interview about how much time they took to talk, like to figure out how to fit all the panty shots in. Like, what a good use of your time.
I was gonna say too, like, to the earlier point, right? When you were asking Kayla, like, does that overly sexual things like devalue a show and sort of the appeal of the show, right? Because at the beginning, there seems to be two very different opinions. One is if you're above the age of 18, you shouldn't watch the show. Then obviously, I think me and Miles are like, this shit is hilarious, right? I think it's great. The panty shots are very passive, so like if you're older and not looking for that, you'll focus on other things. But it does a great job of marketing it to kids. Well, not or like horny teenagers, not kids. Don't watch this as a child. Okay, this is for adults.
You can't stop me.
Yeah.
It's very
know.
TVMA, by the way.
Yeah, but like it's because it's so passive, like horny teenagers are gonna look for anything to be horny about, right? I think that's just like very beautiful, like the balance it creates. Because you don't have to. I disagree with the notion that you have to sacrifice quality for panty. Panty can be there without sacrificing quality. It can enhance quality, much in the way. Oh, that's season 2.
I feel like
I gotta
Haz
remember
is
now,
writing like a
season 2.
math equation. It's like if X is greater than or less
Yeah,
than panty,
yeah.
then it equals
Haz is
bad
the
or
next
something.
philosopher.
Like,
He's like
Because-
he's the next Socrates.
Well, I grew up on ecchi, right, and I watch a lot of it. So I realized for me too, like I'm just desensitized to it. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever. People are naked. Who cares? But also like it's very well balanced in the show. Because like it's not High School DxD. It's not probably better actually than Fire Force. So I don't know. I just thought it was very well done.
well, Fire Force
more
is an
panty shots.
etchy, so.
well, I
Is it
I
not?
dropped
I
Fire
think
Force
it
because of
almost
the
is.
ecchi in it.
Well, also,
Is it
Miles, you
not
said
an
you would have dropped the show like 16 seconds into it if it wasn't for Watch Club, right?
That's true. I would have missed out on this, but I would have the scene with the parents at the beginning where they do the stupid dance thing was enough for me to drop the show. Like I dropped shit, like I dropped No Game No Life I think, what is it, like 23 seconds into episode 1 the first time I tried to watch it, because they're playing a game and then it pans to like the real world and it's just Shiro's panties, like super spread eagle, and she's like super obviously a child, and I was just like, nah, we're done. And I closed my browser.
Isn't
So like,
Yukari in this show?
but
Yeah,
like
I doubt that.
Yukari is never, ever. I mean, you see Yukari's panties for sure. Never to the extent of what you see Shiro's panties in No Game
Fair
No Life
enough.
in the first 23
True.
seconds. Happy,
Okay.
you said you had a question?
Oh, yeah, I do. So, how did Schooner survive?
When?
Oh,
Because
this is a good question. We brought this. Me and
at
Taz
the
talked
end
about
of
this.
Yes.
at the
Um,
end of the at the end of Ruby's introduction
Oh, okay.
episode, Schooner gets like shish kebab, and then the next episode he's like fine.
Okay,
Like I knew it wasn't gonna stick because the type of show it is. I'm like, wait, how did he survive? How did he come back? What
Love the
happened?
terminology, Happy. Shish kebabs is fantastic.
Yes.
Use that word.
Happy. I'm
You
so
got
happy
me
you
too.
brought this up because me and Has had a conversation about this because
Yes.
so in the manga, so the whole there's two points to this scene in the manga. One, Mocha is able to transform without her Rosario being taken by Skune, and the second is when Mocha gives Skune his blood, and essentially this is where he turns into like the half vampire for real, and that's how he survives. In the anime, Skune gets just gatted. He's bleeding. Mocha transforms. I think she kicks Ruby, and then the episode ends. So then the following episode, they're in a tent. Ruby wakes up, and then Skune is just wrapped in bandages, and it's never explained. And I think I think I was talking with Miles too, but I think it was supposed to be like implied that Mocha gave Skune her blood, but like in the anime, it's like never shown that. So
in the anime, yes, you want to take it?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. So there's two ways to interpret this. There's the way I now understand what happened there, because they joke about it in season 2. Like the exact same thing happens in season 2, and they make a very explicit joke about it.
okay, that's great
Um,
then. That's actually
so-
hilarious.
So essentially, small spoiler. Yukari gets into a fight, and like gets her ass handed to her, and almost killed, and then she wakes up fine, and then Kurumu's like, and everyone's just like, yeah, that what chilling factor is great, and they just leave her like nothing just like she didn't almost just fucking die, and it's like, yeah, what's up with Skune and shit, and so essentially it's supposed to be that Yukari healed him, and that was the implication you were
Wait,
supposed to get.
Yukari healed him?
We
Yeah,
talked
'cause
about this. They mentioned a
Which
few
is-
times that Yukari's a good healer.
Yeah,
Um,
quite a few.
I was gonna say, and at that beginning of that episode, didn't like all the girls like argue which one would like save him at some point? Like they were arguing about like who would heal him at like some point in time.
Oh
I
yeah,
know
they were saying
had
that because of
conversation.
Mocha.
Yeah, but they also like do have that conversation when Yukari's like, well, I
Okay.
can actually fucking heal him.
yes.
Um,
Because the whole
And
thing was
Kurumu was
Yukari
good,
was
but, like-
feeling useless that episode, and then she's been
Yeah.
giving. I agree that I mean, you need a 2-second clip of Yukari doing witch magic and healing him. It wouldn't take a lot. But the point in the anime of this was to show us that if something bad enough happens to Skune, Mocha is capable of transforming without the Rosario coming off, which is not a thing that happens in the manga. So that arc changes like a lot from the manga to the anime. I think for the better, personally. Okay. So I guess we're gonna transition now to best girl, worst girl, which is a shame because I didn't get to bring up the math episode.
Do it in your final
Oh,
thoughts.
man.
Final thoughts.
Okay, I'll do it in my final
Can I say
thoughts.
I hated that teacher.
Yeah, I think
Chill.
everyone hated the teacher. I think you were supposed
Yeah.
to.
I just
yeah.
hate math in general, so maybe that's why. But
It's okay. So we'll start with best girl, worst girl. Pat, do you want to take it or?
I can go my best girl first, and
Okay.
you
I'll
know,
be you for this bit then.
yeah, please
Yeah,
do.
Okay.
All right. I guess I don't know, man. They're all fun in their own. Well, all but one of them are fun in their own ways. So for me though, best girl is gonna be Shiryuki or Mizore, whichever you prefer to call her. I don't know. I just liked her design the most, and I thought she was a lot of fun. I just every time she was on screen, I was looking at her panties, I guess, instead of the others. I'm joking, by the way, but yes,
They were striped.
What a fucking legend.
I preferred her, I guess, over the rest of them. Although again, they all have their quirks that are funny, kind of similar to like the Konosuba cast, except obviously not nearly the same quality of characters. But they all had their little quirks and their moments that were fun. Except for one of them, I didn't like Yukari. I know that that's a shocking opinion to anyone who's ever heard me talk about anime before, but yeah, no, I'm not a fan of her. Not a Didn't like her character, didn't like her tropes, don't like what she's supposed to be making fun of while also still being. So yeah, no, Yukari can stay out of my life. I'm never gonna think about her ever again after tonight. So
Johnny, how about you?
Okay, so first of all, I want to say Yukari is not my best girl, but I just want to mention how like I think it's pretty funny. She literally had a fan club dedicated to her. That's all I want to say.
Concerning.
Anyway, so
One episode
like,
after there was a bullying club like dedicated to bullying her, so things turned
I
around
mean,
really quick.
yeah, that's tough. Anyways, so I'm with Pat on this one. My best girl is actually gonna be Mizori because honestly, same reason as him as well. I liked her. I also like how during every fight she just runs at them T-pose with her arms as ice.
Mhm.
Like that's her fighting stance. She just like T-poses in, and I think that's great. And worst girl is gonna be the fucking math teacher because number one, I hate math, even though I'm good. Even though I'm good at it, I just fucking hate math. And second of all, it's like she's like the Kumuru. You're like she's like kind of like that personality. It's like the succubus thing, but it's like so extreme. Like, she literally whips him like 2 seconds after walking into the room, and it's just I visibly like I was yeah, I had like a fucking gag reflex. I was like, yeah, like nope, not my thing.
Okay, good to know. Ladies, Johnny, not into BDSM. So Kayla, your best girl, worst girl. This is your first time doing this. This is the most important segment that we do in the show.
Oh yeah,
so
this
Okay.
is big.
So I kind of agree with the rest of them on the best girl because I love how she would just sneak on like into people like into rooms and just be there and like scare the crap out of everyone. I thought that was kind of funny. Um Worst girl, does it have to be like one of the main girls or cuz I don't know if
No.
I could pick.
Nah, I guess not. Johnny
Okay,
did math teacher, so if you want to
cool.
do math teacher,
I'm sorry about this, Has, but I do not like that Spider Girl. The
okay.
whole abdomen boob situation was really weird. I hated it. It was
Hot.
creepy. No, it was gross.
How's are you a furry?
No.
Have you
Let's
seen his
find out.
hair?
Hez, best girl, worst girl.
Rar.
Oh, is what mine now?
Yes.
Or okay. This is we didn't get to talk a lot about it. Mainly because half of the people here don't take this show and understand its genius. But like all the girls are amazing. Like they all either play their role. Like one thing I really hate about characters in harems is usually the harem has like a set personality um until like something critical happens and they have to defend the MC. Um and like Beezray, for example, when Gin was fucking like essentially attacking or like trying to set up Skune, they have this whole bit where Kurumu and Yukari are like Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and
It's
they're
so
like
funny.
they're fucking like searching throughout the school, and just to reiterate how little Mizure gives a fuck about like who's been peeping because it's not Skune, right? So I don't care. She shows up at the last fight, and Mizure or not Mizure, Kurumu and Yukari are in full like cosplay, and Mizure is just in her regular outfit. Like, what's going on? And I love that. So I'm gonna have to give it to Mizure too. Mizure is a goat. My worst girl, out of the main cast is probably Outer Mocha. And it's, airheads just aren't. I feel like airheads, like waifus, are like really young like anime horny kid watcher enjoys them, but like when you get older, like I can't deal with stupid people. I really can't. So yeah, worst girl outer mocha.
Okay, well, I just want to say canonically, Mizure is dumber than Outer Mocha. Pete, what?
Yeah, so mine's will change compared to the manga. So in the manga, my
Okay.
best girl was Kurumu and my worst girl was Yukari. I think the one thing that the anime does way better than the manga is fleshing out the side characters. I feel like the dialogue that they get is, I got like a better understanding of their personality. So my best girl is still Bazooka. I love Kurumu. To me, she felt like she was the glue that held everybody together. I feel like everybody initially joined the group for Skune, and then Kurumu kind of was like the dynamic of the group. She was like the big sister to Yukari. She was more of like the rival slash best friend to Mocha. I really like their dynamic because they had like their differences between like Skune, but they also like put their differences aside and were like really good friends in some situations. So I enjoyed that. My worst girl, don't know if it's a girl, but I really dislike this character, is the Bat. I hate the Bat. The Bat sucks. I did not find the Bat funny.
Why do you hate the Bat?
I thought the Bat was funny the first episode, and then it just got older, and I got so sick of
What
the
about
Bat.
all the Bat evolutions I discussed?
I thought he was great.
Nope, I hate the Bat.
Just the pure fact that his voice actor is the same as Dio just makes me laugh.
He's not the Dio in the dub, so he just wasn't. I'll say them like my final thoughts as well, but it was like really cookie cutter, really boring. I didn't think like it added a lot to it. It would have been better if I saw less of him. In terms of like more like impactful stuff where like he's in like episode 1, 5, and 11 or something like that. I think it would have been way better for his character. That's just my personal take. I don't know if it's
character.
He has a character.
He has a character. He's in the character. Yeah, he's listed as a supporting character on Mal. So he's
a narrator.
He is a character.
That's like saying the narrator from Love Is War is a character.
We base everything on Mal, supporting
He's
character
also
on Mal.
He's also actually a character.
Yes, in season 2.
Later on in season 2, he's a character.
Non meme Joko, it would be Inner Mocha. Wasn't a big fan of anime Inner Mocha. I loved Outer Mocha. I thought she was adorable and fun.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Happy, Mocha PFP.
Yeah, it better be Mocha.
Yeah, best girl, worst girl.
Yeah. So my best girl is Mizure.
Okay,
of course.
Yeah.
Well, there goes that.
And my worst girl, this is gonna be bad because of my profile picture, but probably Outer Mocha.
Okay.
Well, you're Inner
Well, you have
Mocha,
Inner Mocha,
so
so
it's
it makes
fine.
sense.
She's fine. Yeah. Inner Mocha's gas though. He was great. So
The fact that you said that made me change my mind.
Yeah, really. I haven't heard Happy refer
Who's your
use
worst
slang
one,
like
Happy?
that.
I like that. I appreciate that, Happy. I like the enthusiasm.
Someone gas? Oh man, that's got to be an 11 out of 10 character.
Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
said it's gas.
I agree. That's like the most positive thing I've heard Happy say about, to be honest, anything.
Probably anything. Yeah.
okay.
as I said,
Oh my
not even
God.
Just characters, just anime in general. Because
I can't. He's gonna give Inner Mocha an 8 out of 10. Is
yeah.
gas. Okay, so I guess next up is me. Well, Happy. He's back. I love you, Happy. So my best girl is Kurumu. I love Kurumu. I think that she has like a bunch of fourth wall breaks and stuff, which like I always love. In episode 3, she complains like her first bit of dialogue is that it took like 8 minutes and 27 seconds to get to her after her debut. And I think that really sets the tone for her. There's a lot of times that like something insane will happen and she'll just look at the camera. Like Jim from The Office, like, which I think is like really fun. I just love things like that. I think that elements like that are a great thing to add to a show. I like that she sort of subverts what I expected her to be. We did a tier list of how I thought I was going to rate everyone at the beginning. I put her in like D tier because I expected her to just be personalityless, like horny girl. But I feel like there's like a pretty like like I think she probably likes Skune more than Mocha likes Skune, and then there's like an argument for that. And I also think that Skune's dumb for not liking her because she's better than Mocha.
True.
Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes you don't have to date first girl, Skune. You can date second girl, and it'll be okay. So my worst girl is tough. For the manga, it was Inner Mocha for disappointing me, but she has a transformation sequence in the anime, and so I'm a fan of that. So worst girl, I'm going to. Oh God, I don't know. God, they're just every character is just so good. You know, and would be like best girl in like the average anime we've watched.
Who's the worst best girl?
Who is the worst best girl? I think I'm going to say the worst best girl is Yukari, not because I don't like her. I really like Yukari, but just because she doesn't have the dimensions that the other characters have. She isn't quite as three-dimensional. You know what I'm saying? So, isn't quite fleshed out in the same way.
So that's what you meant by 3D. Got
Miles,
Yeah.
Kayla, you're marrying this guy.
should I?
She's 11.
Is that invitation still going to be valid by the time?
We'll throw a party one way or the other.
Yeah, my
invite
flight
Chris
is
Hansen?
booked. Like, I'm coming.
Yeah, the
Oh,
Airbnbs are all locked in too.
Miles, are you gonna invite Chris Hansen?
No, I'm not going to. Because
gonna
again,
invite
as I
you.
said, Yukari, worst girl. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. So I guess next we need to go to final thoughts and rating.
Yes, we do. We need to wrap this up. So
Yeah,
let's get
who knew
into
we
it.
had so much to say about?
I
I
not
did not.
me. I didn't
Not
know that
me.
either. But yeah, all
I
right.
didn't even get to all I wanted to say. That's why I said I had
You
plenty
never
to say.
do,
John.
so it's okay. All right, Miles. Why don't you start us off then with your final thoughts?
Sure. This show is like way more fun than I thought it was going to be. I had a great time. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to highlight something in the math teacher episode that I didn't get to that I really wanted to talk about to express why it's fun. So you guys have hung out with me when I'm intoxicated before, and a thing that I do when I'm drunk is explain the ideal gas law, because I just think that is so fun. I don't know why. I think that is peak fiction.
PV equals
humor.
NRT.
Yeah, PV equals NRT. So I have a lot of fun
chemistry.
doing that. So in the math teacher episode, the first scene is the math teacher walking down the like quad or whatever. All the kids are like, "Oh, damn, our math teacher!" Like, ooh, and it's just like focuses on her boobs. The wind blows, her skirt flies up, and she just says pi r squared. It's amazing. Like just the idea of like a math teacher getting shocked and just saying like pi r squared is amazing.
It sounds like area to me.
Yeah, it's like well, she's explained she has a big circumference, you know.
Well, she should just use pi d then, right? Isn't that the yeah?
So yeah, that's fair. And so Skune needs tutoring in math. He asks Mocha to tutor in math. Mocha's like a very good student. And then Kurumu pops out because she was like spying on them, as they all do often when Mocha and Skune are alone, and just says sine, cosine, tangent, like to prove that she is worthy of tutoring him in math. And then Yukari comes out and like says like E equals MC square and PV equals NRT and like more complex like math and science things to like prove her worth. And then Mizuru comes out and it subverts the joke because she just like everyone's waiting for her to like do her bit and she just goes, "No, I need help studying too. Will you please help me study?" And I thought that was like just absolutely great. I thought that Skune's mind when he had been like tortured into learning math like sexy style where he was just saying math equations is how I felt when I was studying for exams in school. Like I don't know, I thought it was just a really fun episode and I think it's a good like microcosm of the strengths of the show. You know, and so I'm going to give the show an 8 out of 10, which is not what I was expecting to give it, but I had so much fun with it. I thought it was a great show.
Good for you, Miles. I'm glad you had fun with this show. What is I can't think of a way to incorporate 8 with sine, cosine, and tangent because those numbers only normally go above 1 or 0.05, I think. So, whatever. All right, bad joke, Pat. It's okay. You'll get it next time.
Boo.
Kayla, what is your final score and final thoughts for Rosario Vampire?
So Miles, like the way he described it was like he's like, this is just panty shots. I don't think you're gonna want to watch it with me. And then he talked me into watching it with him, and I thought I was
That's
gonna
so
hate
funny.
it. And I actually really enjoyed it. I will say I agree. I like the music and like the soundtrack and all of that to it. Kind of remind me of like Scooby Doo in a way, like some of the like transitioning sounds. Um, Overall, I had fun. Like I said, we laughed a lot, so I think that's why I'm gonna give it an 8 too. Um, I usually don't give things like below a 5 anyways. That's just in general.
And
So
just out of curiosity, Kayla, you watched Violet Evergarden with me.
You had
I
to bring that
I
up.
didn't hate it as much as
You have to bring a Violet Evergarden every single
I'm
episode.
He's
I
like,
swear
doing
to
it to
God.
spite
do.
I'm
me.
pretty sure
We
she's
do.
autistic, and I would give her the benefit of the doubt. Okay, so she would get like
Miles just hates children, so.
yes. God.
Yeah. But you said you liked it more than Miles did. Miles gave it a 7. So, out of curiosity, what would you have given Violet Evergarden?
Probably like an 8.
Oh,
An
you
8
said it
over?
was a
Okay.
7 when we finished
Too
watching it, or I
bad.
would have brought it
Oh,
up.
Too bad. It's on record
No.
now. She gave it an
Let's
8.
just stop Miles talking about Violet Evergarden. Let's just move.
She gave it an 8. It's on
Yep,
record.
there we go. She gave it an 8. All right. Haz, I'm gonna let you go last because this is really your show. So Johnny, why don't you go next?
All right, yeah. So I unfortunately cannot say the same praises about the show. I get what it's trying to do. I just don't find it funny. Well, it's like okay, so some scenes, some scenes I did find funny, but it's like most of the show is just me there laughing, not at the show, but at myself for the decisions I've made in life that led up to me watching the show. So because of that, I will be giving the show a 6 out of 10 because it's not the worst show I've seen by a mile. There are far worse things than this, but there are
Higher than I
also
thought you
far
were going to
better
give it,
things.
Johnny. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think a 6 is like the correct answer, probably. Like, I think
Probably
that's like
is.
probably right. That's
I can't give this below a
yeah.
5, but like yeah, like a 6 is like about right.
All right. Yeah, no, I think that's fair too. Yeah, because even if it's not your cup of tea, it's not definitely not Boy Blockade Battlefront.
Not my
It's
cup of
something
panty
else.
shots.
God,
unfortunately.
honestly, dying isn't quite Blood Blockade Battlefront. Like
No, no, one of them is a lot sweeter and
Yeah.
and is a release.
yeah,
And not
one
painful.
offers relief.
One potentially could not be painful versus the
Yeah.
other is guaranteed pain. All right, that got dark. Pete, what have you got?
So, as I said before, this is my third time watching it. I originally gave it a 5. Looking back, I think it is still like in that 5 range. However, since this is honestly like I think like my third anime I ever watched, and I watched it for the panty shots. I'm not even gonna front. So, I had like I already knew what I was getting into type of thing. And then I was trying to like find things that I missed the first 2 times, and it was just like the sound design, the music was really good. I thought the voice acting was so good. This is for 2008. This dub is incredible. Like I don't know what they did, but like they hit the nail on the mark. I loved it. However, there's a lot of things I did not like about the show. I felt like a lot of the times, especially the episodes, you could probably watch like the first 3 minutes of the episode and the last 3 minutes of the episode, and you could probably understand the story. There's a lot of like downtime. I don't know if that's like the best way to put it, but I feel like there's a lot of scenes where it's just there to fill up the space. It's kind of why like One Piece has like a 7-minute introduction. Like they just do it so they can like fill in that they make it 17 minutes where this was like 21 minutes of an episode. And I felt like it did not need to be 21 minutes of an episode. I feel like this would actually probably be like a really good short, especially how they did it. Like a 12-minute episode would have been really nice, I think. Yeah, just like a cookie cutter style show where it's like, I know what's going to happen. Mocha transforms, kicks, wins the fight, fight's over. The girls, they almost kiss and then the girls get mad. Like that was essentially like every episode, and that's fine. That's like what the show was. But it's just like, did the highs were they better than the low lows? And just to me, they weren't. But there were some really, really great moments to it, so I'm not going to knock it super bad. I think there's just like a really average, like ecchi comedy. So I'm gonna give it a 6. Yeah, I thought it was fine. It was fine.
All right. No, again, most of those points make sense to me. Happy. What about you?
Yeah, so I actually bought this show on iTunes, which had very inconveniently had both seasons lumped together. So I have season 2 now, so yay, I guess. But so I'll say I never really hated the show, but it was just really hit and miss. Like episode 3 was really bad. Episode 5 was weird. Episode 8 was weird. There was some weird cringy stuff with Yukari and Kurumu. So, but like the last like 4 or 5 episodes are really good. Like the the arc with Ruby and like the plants, that was really good. And like the last 2 episodes were really good. The OP and the ED slap hard. So I was gonna give this a 6, but after like the last handful of episodes, I'm bumping it up to a 7. But it's at like a very low 7. Just just barely made it
You
past
can't
7.
honestly go lower than 7.
Yeah, it's a 7.
Didn't you just give it below 7?
No,
A
he's
low
saying happy
7.
can't. No,
Happy
no.
Oh,
can't.
happy. Okay.
I like it. Good for you. Good. Well done, Happy. That's a good answer. I like that. All right. I'll go quick so that Haz can go last. We're gonna change things up again because this is Haz's show. Um, even though he didn't nominate it,
Yeah,
this
once
is
again,
Haz's
Miles
show.
dominated it.
Yes, but
Poor
Miles
Has though.
nominated it for Haz. So there we go. Again, it shows it's not for me. It never was for me, really. I don't know. I'm not the biggest ecchi guy. Like, if I want something, I'm gonna just seek out the actual thing. If you can catch my drift there. So I don't
Eyebrow
want to be.
comedy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. I want the real thing. I want the full on commit. I don't want to be teased or hinted at. So with that being said, though, again, I still did laugh at it, and like everyone else has said, at certain moments the production was pretty good. There were times where it was bad, but so like the music was good, OPEDs were fun, character designs were pretty good. Um, still disagree with the dub, but that's just because like of my personal taste for it. I guess that's where we'll have to agree to disagree on, like in terms of the quality of the voice acting and the dub. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't, again, like I said in my intro, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody specifically. But like, yeah, if you're just looking for an ecchi show, like this can work. If you like vampires, this works, right? Like that kind of thing. Um, but so that I started out today at a 5 out of 10. I'll be honest, because I was just like, this is the most painfully average, not great show I've ever watched. But through our discussion, I've bumped it up to a 6 out of 10. So good work, Miles. Good work, Has. Good work, everybody. You've changed my mind. But yeah. So without further ado, Has, go ahead and tell us why we're all massively undervaluing this show, please.
Yeah. The biker gang is pulling up outside just to, come back me up on this. First off, shout out to Miles. Power rankings always gonna stay number 1. The bromance is real. Nominating
It's
this from
real.
me. Shout out him. But yeah, on a serious note, not playing it up. Rosario Vampire, I came into this show expecting like a 7 from my memory because the last time I watched it, I was a horny teenager and also dumber. So I didn't get any of the jokes or the meta commentary. And I didn't understand any of that, and I was just there for titties, and they were pretty nice titties. So what I'll say is that if you're a young person who's horny and just wants ecchi, I would say there's pretty okay titties, but there's better shows for ecchi out there. Don't come into this show expecting an ecchi. I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think you should come into the show expecting a comedy that just uses ecchi to enhance certain jokes, like when Yukari and Kurumu are having a fight in the pool and Yukari just like noms on Kurumu's titties.
Great
Or like
scene.
yeah, fucking hilarious. and even outside of that, there's like good jokes, like in the math episode when Yukari is just scared at how stupid Mizure is. Yeah. So there's like a lot of comedy here. There's also very good build up if you do want a like a overarching story with Skune essentially being helpless, and then it sort of builds up. And I would say this is a very well. I can't understate how well crafted this is, because it's almost essentially an anime original, with way more fleshing out of the characters, a completely different story structure with characters present and story elements that weren't there in the manga. The sound design is great. The dub actors fit their character. Whether you like those characters or not is up to you, obviously, and that'll affect your perception of the dub. Um, the animation at points can be really garbage, but for 2008, I think it'll pass. Especially for like an ecchi comedy harem. So, unironically, I laughed this a lot, more than most of the shows I watch that are labeled comedy, and therefore I'm gonna give it a real 10 out of 10. A hard 10 out of
A
10.
real 10 out of 10 as you laugh.
Yeah, because
He's remembering it for flag breaks as he says that.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
I don't want to ever remember that show ever again.
So yeah, like if you're looking for like a great comedy, but also like something that like you can like go online and be like, oh my god, this girl is so hot, like let me buy a body pillow. This is it. This is a good balance. So watch Rosario Vampire, read the manga, and watch season 2 and buy a box set.
All right. So I had already done the math because I knew it was coming with that review. So our average score for Rosario Vampire is a 7.285, or in other words, 7.29, which comes out to 0.04 below, just for some comparison, 0.04 below Akira, uh, a whole third of a point ahead of Wotakoi and Grimgar and Princess Principal. So guess that the closest score was Land of the Illustrious with a 7.5 as well. So, you know, I don't know. I think we did really well for this show. I think, especially considering what is it on Mal? Let's see. It is
Like a
a
6.8?
6.82 is its score overall. So, I think we had a good diverse cast of opinions tonight for this show. But yeah, so that wraps up our discussion of Rosario Vampire Season 1. Now, Miles, you
Yes.
already know the answer to this. Are we
do.
watching I do too, but I'm playing up the bit. Are we watching Rosario Vampire Season 2 next, or 2 weeks from now, for our first of Season 2 of Watch Club, so to speak?
Nice.
Thank you.
At the end of, I did a lot of pitching. I was asking people for votes who I knew might vote for Rosario Vampire Season 2. Towards the end, I was like, audience participation is good. Like, come on, guys, let's go. And I have to say, that did change the results. Rosario Vampire now came in last by less points. So, however, it actually did change the results overall.
It did. It was pretty wild.
There was a big come from behind victory here, with Johnny providing the last points necessary for the show that won to win. So the shows that didn't quite qualify for legacy points this week include Rosario Vampire Season 2, Hinamatsuri, and When and How, Then and When How.
There,
when
over there.
when and then.
Yeah.
Here and then and now and whatever.
Wherever,
something.
Yeah,
that's
now
where
and
it
then, here and
goes.
now, or something. Now and something.
Now
Now and there.
here and there.
I actually, I've memed about it too much that I don't remember the real name.
I actually think it is Now and Then, Here
Fun
and There.
fact,
Okay, great.
Fun fact, every time I DM Miles, and I think I nominate that show every time, I change the wording every time I vote for it. So
I do too when I message Pat my votes.
So
I just changed the pop.
I didn't vote for it this week, no. But okay, so third place, we have Serial Experiments Lane. Second place, we have losing by 0.5 points after you apply its legacy points. The devil is a part-timer.
You gotta be kidding me.
And
Yeah, sorry,
yes,
Johnny.
What am I saying? I brought this onto myself. I can't complain.
you did exactly, and winning, giving me 4 wins in a row. Angel Beats.
I don't know why I
It's
didn't do
a
this.
turkey, isn't it? Is that a turkey?
Is it?
No,
That's
turkey's
3
3.
strikes in a row.
Is it
We actually
three?
made this joke last time.
Yes.
Because you
So my hot streak continues. So we will be watching a show that I honestly just nominated so I could talk about how overrated it is. Angel Beats.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
Angel Beats, I think that's the only show I've ever dropped where I started it and then stopped watching and was like, all right, I'll get back to it, and then never got back to it. So I'm excited to finally get back to it, I guess, and finish it up. But yeah, so now that we know what we're watching 2 weeks from now, we need to nominate for what we'll be watching 2 weeks after that. So, Miles, do you have a nomination to replace Angel Beats on your
Okay.
sentence?
We're gonna try something, Pat. We're gonna do an experiment here.
Oh boy,
Okay.
I'm excited.
I'm gonna nominate
Yeah.
Now and Then, Here and There.
I've never heard of that show. What can you describe the show to me, because I'm very curious. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's about there's a pendant. This guy, Shu, he lives an ordinary life in peace, and he has friends, and he has a crush, and he has a passion for kendo. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds exactly like Sword Art Online, but this came out before Sword Art Online. So,
how many years before SAO? Like, probably a good, good fall
looks like-
1999. That's like a solid 15, 20 years before most of, or maybe not that long, but a very long time before.
we lost
Did we
Kayla.
lose Oh, we lost Kayla.
We lost
Okay.
Kayla,
Yeah.
and Haz is in the Matrix.
Oh boy.
Haz is gone, boys.
Haz is like his arm. I don't know. That's what.
This is.
I wonder if her laptop died because she
maybe.
didn't have it plugged in the last time I saw her.
Well, tell her to come into the room and join you. So
Yeah, okay.
Does Kayla have a nomination?
Oh my god.
She does have a nomination.
She does, but yeah. So
All
let's
right.
to keep this moving. Wait, so this show, it's almost like this show inspired like a bunch of modern isekai. It'd be crazy if that were the case. But oh man, I'm so excited that you nominated this show.
Yeah, you can, yeah. So I think you just seemed like someone who might want to watch the show. I had no idea why, and we're gonna see if we can go for the 5-peat. I don't know if this is, testing fate, but we're gonna go for it. We're gonna see if we can get Pat the W here using my voodoo magic. And Kayla's computer died.
Oh, good.
And-
I fixed the problem, except Haz is
Nice.
now Kayla on my stream.
Hello.
Oh, okay, great. And so that's what I'm gonna nominate. Now and Then, Here and There.
All right, thank you. There we go. So while we've got you on the mic as well, or while we've got Kayla
Pass
at
the
least poking
headset.
your head in, yeah, go for it. All right, Kayla. So you had some time to think about this. So what show would you like to nominate this week?
Well, I really wanted to watch The Devil is a Part-Timer. That was like Adam pitched it to me. So I really would like to watch that
You
someday.
can nominate it.
okay, you can
All
nominate
right,
it.
that's what I want to nominate.
Awesome.
All right.
Johnny, you gotta find a new show.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
sorry. I'm
Never mind,
sorry.
I already
Johnny,
have one in
I'm
mind. Don't
sorry.
worry. Don't
All right,
worry.
right
It's
on.
fine.
That's
Okay.
really funny, actually. No, that's absolutely okay though. Like, good for you.
Well,
for
because
doing that.
Adam has talked about it like several times, and I'm like, I.
It's been second
my
place, I
vote.
think, 4 times.
Okay. Yes, let's nominate that.
All right, perfect. Thank you. All right, Haz, what have you got for us?
I've been on this weird, anime thing. I've been watching a lot of things that are inspired by like video games. So I started Princess Connect Redive. I watched God Eater, and I bought all 3 games because the result, because Mappa's great. So I'm on this little wave, and I think what I'm gonna nominate is Rosario Vampire Season 2 as a result.
Is
So-
that a game?
He's not.
There is in fact a PS2 visual novel for Rosario Vampire. Those of you that don't know,
I respect it.
there's about 5 routes in there, and I think just like seeing an anime based on a video game, would be good.
That's fair enough. And again, it's a pretty new, not medium, but story for us, right? Like most
Yeah,
of us
yeah,
have not
we're
experienced it. So
Super new IP.
there you go, IP. That's a good word
yeah.
for it. Yep. Perfect. All right, so season 2 of Rosario Vampire. In case you want to hear us talk about it more.
Do it. Everyone vote in for Rosario Vampire season
Please,
2.
no.
All right, Johnny. Well, you got to provide a show that will
I
compete with this.
I
So
have
please go
one.
for it. Yes, let's
Right.
hear it. No, I'm saying provide one that
Yeah.
that will compete with Rosario Vampire season 2 in the voting.
All right, so people who don't know this, me and Pat have this deal going on right now. Basically, I did a favor for him, so I can't.
Don't make it sound like that. Yeah.
It's not a bribe. It's an act of friendship. Let's just call it that. So I will be
You're making this sound really bad, Johnny.
Chunibyo.
You're nominating Chunibyo. Okay, so I have to vote for Chunibyo this week. Okay, interesting.
Honestly, I've just wanted to get legacy points, so it's gonna win eventually, just to spite Pete.
I'll be out that week.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll take over as the host.
I'm busy that day.
I have OBS installed. We'll figure it out. All right, Pete, what have you got?
Well, I feel like this would be like the perfect show for us. It's so fun. It has so many touching moments. I'm a re-up Hinamatsuri. I love the show, and I want to experience it with you guys.
I've been voting for it every week, so I would enjoy that show too.
It's aliens in the Yakuza. What? It's so good.
All right, I respect it. Again, I think that would be fun. Happy, what have you got?
Yeah, so for my nomination, after I finished Rosario Vampire, I went to my Crunchyroll app and I watched the first episode of Konosuba. I thought, you know what, this show is gas. So I'm nominating Konosuba season 1.
God, I just want that to win so that Happy has to give a show higher than a 7 out of 10. Like, because there's no way he doesn't think it's better than a 7 out of 10. I think he will.
We're gonna have to close you on that if that wins.
So like, that episode will get me canceled.
I'm gonna kill Haz that episode.
Yeah, well, so but the thing is, like, Happy got through the first episode of Konosuba, which is more, other than the Succubus episode, is probably more ecchi than any other episode.
What about the OVA?
Or the OVAs, but those don't count. It's like
what about
as
the
ecchi
episode where she's trying to get married.
That's season 2, isn't it? So
yeah, that's
we're
season
good.
2. Fair enough.
We're good.
What about Wiz, just in general?
She's not nearly as provocative, I don't think, as Aqua.
She's at least actually wearing clothes.
The animation in general.
She has bongo boobies.
Yeah, she
does. She's got bazookas. Come on. You missed
remember the cat that like plays
also
with
dead, so.
All right, great. All right, but anyways, Happy again. Good nomination. That is one of my favorite shows. I love that. But yeah, all right. So now I need to find something different to nominate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to nominate another show that I've nominated multiple times and has gotten multiple 2nd or 3rd place finishes, and that'll be Elfen Lied. So that way, pretty much no matter what, I'm not guaranteed at all, no matter what, but I'm going to hope that at least one of those shows wins. Since Miles took my actual nomination of now and then, here and there. So yeah, Elfen Lied will be the final nomination of this week, or for 2 weeks from now. So please, if you're at home listening, you can vote for it, or throw in your votes. Whatever you want to hear us talk about, please let us know. But other than that, thank you guys for listening to us. And Pete, why don't you plug everything and get us out of here?
I would love to. So if you want to vote for a show for us to review for Watch Club, you can do it in multiple ways. You can leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. You can DM me on Twitter or our Discord or anything like that. All of that, the links to our socials are in the description below. It's in our link tree. So come on, join our Discord, talk anime, or just follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active in social media. Next week, we have probably our most popular segment of all time. We have Anime Jeopardy 5 returning. And,
yes, I need to write that.
And Miles will be hosting, so this should be a very fun episode, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things that we do, and I'm undefeated still in all anime games we've played, so I'm gonna keep holding my crown. I know Pat is also 1-0 in Anime Jeopardy, so we're gonna duel against Pat, so it's gonna be real fun. Otherwise, in 2 weeks, we will be watching Angel Beats, I guess. It's I'm looking forward to Miles ranting on it. I'm probably gonna hate it, but otherwise, yeah, we'll see you then. Thanks for joining, and wave goodbye to Miles's taco, and then thank you, Kayla, for joining. So we'll see you next time.